and welcome to Talk New York. Once again, all-girl round table. Actually, we have a guy in here, so let's get on it. As a matter of fact, before we got on the air, we were having a heated discussion that I don't think that we want to put it out there, but I still insist that we're going to deal with this subject, and that is police brutality and racism in America. I have experienced racism for the past few weeks. I was in Maine, and I was looking for a dentist appointment to have a cosmetic work done, bonding. I had chipped my tooth, and I wanted bonding done. I would go into a dentist's office, and I would say, I need an appointment. They said, okay, come in. As soon as they turn around and see me, we don't have anything till the next 2 months. After I've told them that I'm just here visiting, I can't even get the word out. That's how excited I am. And I went to a grocery store, and this woman insisted that I was some model, so she needed my autograph. I know she was thinking I was Oprah Winfrey or Iman or something. All black people look the same. I am telling you, for the first time in my life, for the first time being in America, I was afraid. I was really afraid. Being in a town where I'm all by myself, driving what people might consider a fancy car, I was literally afraid of leaving the hotel room unlocked, or, you know, I went into a whirlpool in a gym. As soon as I stepped in, everybody walked out.
Wow.
And it got me thinking. I said, I wonder what people went through 30 years ago to get us here. And I think sometimes those of us who live in the city, and we sort of like have been able to carve life for ourselves, we tend to forget that this racist stuff is not over. I mean, Abner Louima's case was a classic example of hatred. Okay, I know that police officer is probably 1 in a million, and for him to have shoved a stick down somebody's, you know where, and then the lawyer had the nerve of saying that, oh, this was some kind of a gay sex that, you know, made him sustain that. I mean, I know penis can do a lot of damage, but I don't know about, you know, I knew it was lethal, but I didn't know it was that lethal. And you were saying...
my point is, I think whatever you said so far, you've covered so many grounds. And
yes, I have, because I'm very excited about
many things that are totally disjointed, that are not to be connected. When you go to an environment like in upstate New York or Maine, that you haven't been. I mean, they are small towns, and you carry the same sort of makeup or thought of where you live in New York City into those places. This is where you expect things. You live as an individual among 8 million people. You don't really care about anything. You don't care about what happens if someone is dropping dead. In those places, people are concerned about. So when someone is looking at you, or something, that is not, you shouldn't just jump into conclusion that it's racism. You want an appointment. It's a small town. Most of those physicians in most small towns are, most of them, if there's a medical school within 100 miles, they probably are professors, or they work in the clinics.
This was not a professor, okay.
Yeah. But
and
because
it's not
of that,
an
when you
isolated,
go
I went to 5 different places. The
but
person will lift up their head, see you, and look at the other person's like,
but
don't you know?
If you went to
you're
5
not supposed to be here. I mean, this is a feeling that you get, and I have to get to the two of you because you were born here. This is your country, and if you think what I'm saying doesn't make any sense, tell me.
No, it makes a lot of sense. And as I was explaining earlier, I was born and raised in the South. There is a different, the way the racism is manifested. It is different. Racism in the South, the way white people and black people deal with each other in the South is different from the way white people and black people deal in the North. And what y'all was saying, I can definitely relate to it. I don't think it's a figment of her imagination. I don't think that she's carrying this here thing in her that everybody's a racist.
No.
I think the person is just being self-conscious.
I don't think she's being paranoid.
In New York, people ignore everybody. In those areas, people
but even in New York,
that is not necessarily so.
In New York?
That is not necessarily
I don't think so.
I mean,
New York, people interact with us. Are we talking about New York City?
About each other.
And we lived in a co-op, and the people there were very friendly towards one another. Have been, still are.
Still are. You talking about the co-op I'm still in? Yes.
Right.
And
even in the cities,
what
and I
about the other
don't,
buildings sitting
I don't
across?
mean to cut you,
Are
but even in the cities, there was a talk show host. But I'm trying to get his name now, Larry somebody, who
Larry King?
no, who on
No.
that would be a problem. Who on the Martin Luther King birthday this very year, he said that, oh well, we kill one person, we get 1 day. Let's kill 4 of them, and we get a whole week. And then playing music of James Byrd. Playing the music of Lauryn Hill, he referred to James Byrd, the guy who dragged a black man behind his car.
No, he was the one that was.
He was the black man. Okay, he was the one that was dragged. But anyway, he went on and said, well, they sing like this. No wonder they drag them behind trucks. This is the city. This is not Maine. This is not Connecticut.
This is Washington, D.C.
Place that this is Washington.
No, I mean, what
the incident happened in Texas, but the guy made a statement in Washington, D.C., which is supposed to have a lot of black people.
Right.
So racism is here. All I'm saying is that we tend not to think about it because of where we live now. And we tend to forget the sacrifices that were made some 30 years ago. And when we forget those things, that's how some of these kids are able to get themselves in trouble.
The kids are in trouble, but you know, 30 years ago, I was very much an adult. And
you were 21. You are 21 right now.
Right.
So we cannot be adults 30 years from now.
But I thank God for the parents that I had, because my parents raised me to believe that I could do anything, I could be anything.
And
that
be
I wanted.
anywhere.
And that I was no better, but no worse than the next person. Well, when I was 16, I got involved with an organization sponsored by a sorority. And it was an academic organization. We were going from New York to Virginia for a conference. And at 16, you know, the world is yours. I get down there, I'm black, not thinking of it, but we go to check into the hotel. They wouldn't allow us in the hotel. We had to sleep on the bus, only because the accommodations that they had for black people, it was rat infested, there were roaches, and I wasn't sleeping there because that's not what I'm accustomed to. Now, we went to try to get something to eat. We couldn't eat. That's when they were doing all the sit-ins.
Civil rights movement.
And I mean, I remember those horrible times. It was a rude awakening for me because I had not been raised in that environment. So prejudice is alive and well in America. And to prove it, I went on the internet the other day, and the KKK has a web page.
Oh,
Of course, yes.
Oh, yeah. Everybody has a web page.
Of course.
Everybody has a web page.
But I don't want you. I don't want you to get me wrong
But
that
we have this
racism and those things don't exist.
But see, the thing is,
But
we also have this recent, or maybe not so recent, occurrence of this white supremacy movement making a comeback here. What is that all about?
It's always been there.
And this is
It's been there. They've toned it down.
but now it's coming
now
back.
it's time to resurge.
Right.
We
That's
thought
what you
we thought we overcame,
Exactly.
but we
You
haven't
see,
you think you let your guard down?
Yes, we did.
Yes,
I
you let
mean,
your
I
guard
have
down.
never been
They were
afraid of going to a
organizing.
restaurant and feeling that somebody was spitting my
Why
food
do we
or
think
water.
that
But I
somehow
was
we
afraid
control
last
these
week. I
structures?
would not eat
They
at a
were
restaurant.
organizing.
Because
They
the
were-
way
they
people
were
look at
organizing.
you
They were
and
trying
the
to
look
get
says you don't
political,
belong here.
power. They were trying to be part of the mainstream, disguise themselves to be able to acquire the things that they were missing. They were not, because we let our guard down. I mean,
Yes, because
they were
I think at
organizing
some
on
point,
that. They were-
when a
keep
few
that same
black people
momentum.
started making
They
it,
picked up.
some people who live, and I'm not picking on anybody, I don't know any black person who lives in the Hamptons, but I'm just using that as an example. When they got their $2 million homes in the Hamptons and whatnot, they live next door to Joe Blow, who has a $10 million home, and they went out to dinner together. They thought they were part of them.
Right.
But O.J. Simpson learned the hard way that
Yes.
when the chips fall, then you have to come back
Back
home.
to your own.
Ro-
Right.
Racism is alive
And he was
well.
surrounded
But
in the
he-
white
he-
society,
this
and
is-
everything. He had the money.
This is a tough crowd. This is
He
a tough
still
crowd.
is.
It's
in
a-
that
This
situation.
is a tough crowd. I mean, and I'm not sure whether, and I'm picking it up, the signals properly, but it looks like we're linking too many things.
Oh, of course,
Okay,
but
okay.
everything is linked.
How do we go
Everything is
from we letting our guard down and white supremacy
Okay,
picking
well,
up to
Well,
you know, because there's nothing. I mean, you think
Because that's the
you control the
correlation.
no,
That is
you
the
were trying to make a
correlation.
correlation that doesn't exist.
Right.
See, these are people that realized in the 60s that when all the civil rights movements were going on, that eventually they could be annihilated. So they were smart enough to move into those mountains.
Well, they couldn't be
reorganize,
annihilated because they are
get
in the
into
police
political-
system.
no,
They are in the
that's
political
right.
system.
They
They are
infiltrated the
everywhere.
mainstream
They
so
are
that you
more.
couldn't see it. That's
Everywhere.
right.
There are
They're
more
more
of
than
them.
us.
They didn't
Only
let-
if,
we
as a
didn't
matter of
let
fact,
our
those who
guard down.
act up,
That's
we are happy those who act up because we know who they are. Most
Right.
of them are not acting up. They
but
may be
that's-
honest.
those are dangerous.
Therefore,
Anyway,
don't
let's
say that
move
they
on
couldn't
before
have
we
the- yeah,
exhaust
they've
this
been
one.
there.
But
Okay.
in the
They've been on their life,
in the
and
same
they're more
context, talking
organized.
about racism, why was this story necessary? I mean, anybody who saw the interview with Barbara Walters on ABC about this young lady, Dr. J, supposedly illegitimate daughter. That word, I mean,
I hate
how
that
does she
word
become
anyway.
illegitimate?
You're either legitimate
You
or
know
you're
how
not.
you
You're a
illegitimate.
living person.
You are a living person. She's
Right.
legitimate. But I mean, why was it necessary after she won or whatever, she did well on the tournament, that it has to come out that she had a black father? Is it because of the genes? That's why she won? Is that what
Probably.
it's
I mean, we would
because-
like to
We
take
know
credit
that-
for the,
you know
the
when they
genes.
talk
I
about
think.
blacks in
I will
sports.
take credit for the genes. I think that has something to do with it. Because it works better that
we'll
way.
take that credit.
It
Yeah.
does, I agree with you.
Yeah,
It
that's
does
right.
work better
It
that
works
way.
better that
But-
way. Yeah, but
But white America is looking, I feel, to pull down the African American male. It's a problem in this country, a very big problem. Those that attain some sort of success ultimately are brought to their knees by white America for whatever reason. Now, had this young lady's father been Asian and, quote, illegitimate, would you have seen this story? Not likely. Not likely.
I doubt
Okay.
it. It's because of
not
the
likely.
type of racism in America.
America,
There's a peculiar relationship between white
But
and
then
black.
they go on to say that he denied it when it was obvious that that was the child and there was evidence, his name was on the birth certificate. So somewhat
I don't
it
think
was-
he denied it. I think sometimes situations like that, an intelligent person like Dr. J probably wanted to do the things that any parent would do, trying to protect. Because, you know, when the people get to that level of performance, every little thing that is said that gets to them will affect them in whatever they're into. So he knows he's an athlete. You know, he actually operated at that high level. So they try to take the focus away. Okay, sometimes unsuccessfully. Okay, because I mean, Tiger Woods' father, you know, and they did that, protected the kid. I mean, there was not a lot of things that got to the child, and they do that because, see, you don't know. This is a 19-year-old girl. You don't know the psyche.
if she was,
Okay.
if she was.
To 17 or 18. And, you know, when that kind of things get revealed, she does not really understand because it's not something that she didn't know. Okay? But it changes the mechanics of her involvement in this big tournament that she's supposed to be doing well. I will bet that the moment it came out, that's probably why. The moment she heard it, it affected her own whole way of performance.
Well,
And that's what,
she claims it didn't affect it. But let's
That's
shift
exactly
from
the
this
way of
heated
saying-
subject and let's go to girl power, number 2.
Yeah, we're good.
Well, women's soccer. I don't know if the camera is picking up, but I have the women's soccer team.
the
US
American
women's
team. Right.
soccer. They won. And a lot of women were very excited. Okay? Very, very excited that, you know, this is another avenue for women to succeed in life.
Well, it's maybe
How proud were you of
maybe it's not an avenue to succeed in life, but it's some other outlet that breeds discipline, breeds self-worth, and it's that soccer is a game where they don't selectively come and say, well, you're 6 foot tall, you
I'm
play better.
beginning to have a
Any
problem.
size,
You know,
any
I
strength.
really have a
But
problem.
The teamwork aspect, the camaraderie aspect.
I
you know,
really have a
actually
problem. I
builds
understand what you're saying, but I
Right,
have
I
a
agree.
problem when they make comments like women can do what men do, you know, like
Well,
or
that's-
probably do it even better.
well, that's the
a
double,
commercial, yeah.
and that's the double
commercial.
standard.
But the thing
Right.
is that I don't think women are made like men. Oh, the women movement, forgive me. I don't believe I was made like a man. I don't want to be a man. I don't want to compete with a man. I want to compete with people on my brain level.
Right.
Okay? And I want to be seen as an individual, man, woman, or whatever. And I don't have to go out of my way to prove my physical whatever to a man to show that, you know, I'm made like him. And I think in some way when they start, you know, I mean, I think she's great looking and all that, but I don't need that muscles. I really don't care for
wait a minute, that's a whole different issue.
Well, yeah, I sort of agree with Kwasi. It's an avenue. It's another avenue
that's right.
that women can take their place. And I don't see anything wrong with that. Just like with women's basketball.
That shouldn't be.
You know, I'm all for that.
But they tend to pit it against, you know.
They're always going to pit it against men.
Right.
Unfortunately.
And I don't think that it should be that way.
It shouldn't.
But the reason it has to be is that we're going after the same market. Okay, this is
well, there are more women than there are men, and you have said it yourself.
I've said it, but women never learn to pull their resources together. And
because we don't write the checks.
No.
The men write the checks.
Wait a minute.
We do not write the checks. The men write the checks.
I don't want to touch
most of the time we are stuck with kids.
That's what we think.
Whose fathers don't want to participate. We work in 2-3 jobs. We don't have time to write checks to support
That is the one that
we
they
have
put on television.
You know? We have mouth to feed.
I think at some point we should go find the statistics of the ones that actually will financial and political power on this country. And then you will know. When you search through the names, you will find out that the women probably run the whole place better than.
Yes.
But in front of the camera, in terms of presentation, it's normally the man that
has to be the man.
That's the man. You know, the man. You know, it's like what every successful man has a powerful woman behind.
Hey,
that is correct.
Let's move on to Hillary. After you said that, that is the truth.
That is, yes.
That's what we say. Well, amen.
Amen. Preach it.
Preach it, right?
I think I'm making some points.
Oh, yes, you are. Most definitely.
After 2 hours, you made one point. You happy about that? Anyway, let's talk about Hillary Clinton and her running for the supposedly will be running for senator in New York State. And she finally spoke. And some people think she's making excuses for her husband's infidelity. She's saying that he was abused as a child and therefore his behavior is probably excusable. I mean, I interpret that statement to me. Well, he was in an abuse environment or whatever. The grandmother and the mother were fighting over him, and then his stepfather was an alcoholic or whatever. So he had a tough childhood. But I really do think that's not what she meant to say. I think she meant to say, the guy's an idiot, leave me alone. I'm doing my thing. He's doing his thing. Why are you guys bothering me?
She's probably said it a million times.
You know?
She's probably said it a million times. Yeah. But you don't go throwing the bathwater away with the baby.
Right.
I mean, sometimes when they fall, you pick them up, slap them a little, clean them up, and
but this guy has been, he's been falling so many times.
But give me a break. If he were an alcoholic, a wife beater, and all those things,
he wouldn't be in the house.
He probably wouldn't be in the house.
How do you know?
We know that because
know
we're not going to vote for him.
There are people probably there in politics that do that.
Okay.
Don't you
But
think
it's
we don't have that?
they would
there are
protect
people
them,
that,
yes,
that
of course
do that, but a lot of it is covered up.
That's what I'm
there
saying.
Right.
You would never know it.
People that are doing drugs.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
So therefore,
do you think though this was an appropriate thing for her to do?
It was perfect.
I really think
it was
I personally think she should.
It was perfect
because he was defending a man.
It was perfect.
Let me.
I
really.
I mean, at this point, I should have called in Lorena Bobbitt. I can't to manicure stuff.
But the key.
But you know what? I have to make this. I think it was whether for political reasons or not. I think it was unnecessary for her to.
Okay,
I think I would have said nothing.
That's it.
I wouldn't have responded to that question.
But let me throw in a little political savvy.
That's what I'm saying. It's a code word for being idiot.
No,
leave me alone.
The smart thing, that woman and her handlers and her friends, Lenny Guinier, they had probably the brightest Americans we have. She's one of the top lawyers. Her mind works probably better than 99% of the men within
I have a lot of respect for her. I don't doubt that. I think she has handled herself very well.
After that accolades, let me move to
until this point.
See, you know that everything that she's going to go through for this campaign is actually going to be about 80% what Clinton did, the husband did. Okay, because that is supposed to be what she's going to be painted with. By being as intelligent as she is with her team, they decided to preempt and put their explanation and put it out there. Now, the next step that is going to happen, and I'm predicting it, is we're going to find talk shows and shows bringing in experts explaining which part of the brain that particular abuse or quote unquote translates to in terms of malfunction, in terms of the brain in relation to Bill Clinton's mind to either support or refute what Hillary. What does that do for her? That puts the focus on those people having to research into what she's already put on the table.
I think
and
you're
now
intellectualizing this.
that is exactly
too
what
far.
it is.
But you know what?
That
I
is
don't-
all it is.
But
There is nothing
politics
else.
isn't that sophisticated.
Oh,
people
but
don't.
she is
no,
sophisticated.
she is. But the people don't aren't that. I mean, I'm not saying that they're not that. Can you say it? That they're not that sophisticated. They don't want to intellectualize it to that point. Let's face it.
That's why she put it out
But
so
then,
early.
but then that's a waste of time because who's going to sit and intellectualize it to
The
that
campaign
point?
has not even started yet. So
I
this is
know,
the time
and
that
that's
you
definitely
throw
a
out the
waste of
chaff
time.
before the real thing comes
The
out.
reason the question was asked in the first place was to sell papers and magazines
Right.
and reading material.
That's also very
This
good.
country loves
Scandal.
gossip
And
and
scandal.
scandal.
That-
I hate to say
Definitely.
smut.
Yes.
But it's better than
Now-
it's better than anything else though.
Better than anything else in what
now.
In
sense?
I don't.
politics. I mean,
What?
what else would you substitute for that?
Integrity?
Yes.
How do you define it? And what constitutes integrity? Will you be able to put a yardstick that says this 2 inches means integrity 1 and 3 more inches, and therefore we're going to measure these guys? We can't. That's why the political situation
I think
is
they
falling.
can be measured based on what they say they're going to do.
And
Wow.
they do it.
Oh, when they get there, before
There
you will
you-
know that they will
that
do
they-
it. So, but everybody's going to tell you what they're going to do.
Yes, everybody's going to tell you what they're going to do, and you have to make that decision yourself
That's right.
in order to decide whether you think this person
And that
is
is
valuable.
And that is why the
But I
scandal
think
part
though,
makes it more
I think
exciting.
that for her, she's seen as the epitome of what an independent woman, career
Yes.
woman
Definitely,
is.
Yes.
yeah.
And I
Oh,
think for
definitely.
her to go out and say, you know what, I understand where
Yeah.
he's coming from. You know, he cheated on me with this
Several
and-
times.
and the lowest of the low, Monica Lewinsky,
Oh, come on.
and all
That's
that.
she's a nice person.
She's a nice person, but she's too young.
No,
she
24
was too
years?
bold. Yeah,
He's 50.
The mine is 50 somewhere years old.
What difference does
His
it make?
daughter is
Tony
only-
Randall,
daughter is only-
how
his
old is
daughter
Tony
is-
Randall? And how old is his wife?
Tony Randall's in his 70s,
Tell me,
close to
and
80.
what old
And
is
he
his
has
wife?
a
his
30
wife
year
is
old.
in her
But
And
her
just- and
30s.
they
that
just-
says
they just
something
have a
about
child.
that says something about
But that
men.
is good. That is good. There's nothing wrong
That
with it.
doesn't-
The context
no.
of what happened
doesn't
is
make
what
it
is
right,
wrong.
though.
It's
The
the
age-
age should not be important.
And I agree with that.
Thank you.
Okay, I agree with you, but wait a
The
minute.
age
In
is
this
not what's
context,
important.
but you know what? In the
What happened was
context,
bad.
he's the
I am
president. His
surprised you
daughter
guys
is
say
only
that
a
the
few
age is
years
not-
younger.
What does that got to do with it?
His daughter- his
Some
own
of those
daughter's only
marriages,
few-
some people marry
What-
people who
yes,
are almost
exactly.
like
What difference
grandkids.
does that make? I agree with
Being
that
who
age
he
issue.
is, being who
Very
he
much
is.
so.
Lee, I am
Yes.
sorry,
No,
but
I-
can you see a 70-year-old woman with a 30-year-old boy?
If they're bold
that
enough
is-
to
and
come in,
people
I'm
not
available.
counting
What
over
I-
that.
if that is
If there's
what
one out
she
there, I'm
chooses,
available. That's
and
right.
she's not dealing with
Do
a
you
child.
remember when Cher dated that 1-year-old
I know, 20.
bagel baker or something? And it was all over.
And you know
She
what
was
I
everywhere.
And you know what I said? Go share.
That's right. I mean, what-
But how many people do it and
that
society
is the
doesn't
problem.
frown
But
on
that should not be. That should not be the.
But
the
you have to
criteria.
understand, society frowns on
In almost
some
lot of
age
things,
differences.
yeah, yeah.
But then it's more okay for
For
an
a
older
man
man
to do
and a
it.
younger woman
Right.
than
That's
it is
what I
the other way
disagree with.
around. Yes, I
If it's
disagree
gonna
with
go
that.
for-
And
if
I
it's gonna be
disagree
good-
with it too.
I don't
good
see
for you.
anything
I disagree
wrong
with it.
with
It
either
should-
one
it
as
should go
long as
either
they
way.
are
It should go
older,
either way. What's
It
good
should
for
be
the
good.
good,
consenting
good for the-
adults, I don't see a thing
See,
wrong
that's
with
right.
it. That's between the two
See,
of
the
them.
context of what happened is what was wrong. Not the age
Not the
difference
age
that I'm
difference.
mentioning. The context of what happened.
Frankly,
was
she was
wrong.
a silly little girl.
More
he
than
was a
that.
silly old
More than that.
She went after him because he was a powerful man,
And she
the most
planned it.
powerful
Yes, I
man
do
That's
believe
right.
that.
What-
probably in the world today.
Now let's throw out all the quote
And I
unquote
think
value
that
moral
was
things.
very daring
And that is a
and
smart,
adventurous.
that's a smart girl.
And very smart of
if you
her.
want to screw
The
up,
girl,
if you
she
want to
set
screw
for
up,
life.
Yes.
she's
You
that's
know,
it. Maybe
I
yes.
mean, there is
I
no
don't know
guy,
what-
there
but
is
if you're
no
going
guy
to
coming
go
into
after
our life
something,
who will top that.
you have to go
I
for
did
it.
the
Go for
president.
That's
right.
Come on.
Come on, you
You
are not
know-
ever going to get over that.
You're not gonna get over
You gotta
that
shoot
hump.
for the stars
Anyway,
and sell for the
let's
moon,
shift
right?
to a
There you
very
go.
sad but serious thing, and we almost ran out of time. So I'm going to try and hold this thing up. But John F. Kennedy's death,
And those two are the beautiful girls.
and
two
the
ladies,
two young women. I don't have the other girl's picture. This was unbelievable. I still don't believe it happened. I mean, my mom passed last year, and I can't deal with it, and I'm always hoping she's coming home. But this one was just totally,
It really was shocking.
Shocking.
I remember when I first heard it, and I said, "Oh, they'll find them," you know. And I also remember when they announced that they had found his body. It was just a jolt.
yeah. As much as I wanted them to find the body, I was hoping they don't. That somehow 10 years from now we're going to hear that he defected to Cuba or
Right,
someplace.
And you know, this was
Right,
a whole
right.
total big joke or something. But this was a sad story. I mean, the two of you probably can tell us what you witnessed him growing up. I wasn't
Right,
here, so
right.
some of the things that they said.
It
you know,
was
about
almost
his
like
de-
a reminder
it
of what
was-
happened to the father.
Yeah.
You know, it was like an
Yes, it
eerie
was.
feeling because you don't expect for the president to be shot, to be killed. You know, and that was like a jolting
Yes, it was.
concept to accept.
I don't know him.
And I remember, you know, during that period, most people were affected as much by the fact that the president, someone had the nerve, the audacity to disrespect our country to that, and their leaders to that extent, to dare to kill one of them. And then the man himself being shot. And now his son, 30-something years later,
And he
you know,
was
a
only
tragic
38
death.
years old.
30, years old. It's
You
just
know?
like mind-blowing.
Yeah. What do you
It's very
remember in
sad.
those days?
I remember the assassination of John F. Kennedy very vividly. I was in my home when it came over the
Right.
news, and that's one of the memories
Right.
is
Picture,
with the
that
little boy
picture.
saluting. I don't really think he knew what he was doing at that point, but I did kind of watch him as he grew up, and he went through his rebellious stage with his hair down to his shoulders, and you know, then on to law school, and then passing the bar, and it's just a sad thing because we thought of the Kennedys as America's family.
Right.
And
That's America's royalty. I mean, one of
Exactly.
the things that
loyalty.
one of the things that I sort of remember, or I like to remember about him, was the fact that he was a regular person.
Right.
Right.
And I don't
Right.
mean to cut you, but we ran
Yes,
out
a
of
regular
time.
person.
I didn't know him, but there's one thing that stays with me. He was on Oprah Winfrey Show, and they asked him about all the conspiracy theories surrounding his father's death, and he said, none of that will bring my father back. And I said, that is a smart boy. Well, in my language, we say, Demrifaduye. That means that whatever. There's a tragedy, and we all feel sorry for that. And, we, you know, peace in wherever he is. This is Yajima Okwampa. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.